Yo, it's just me and Trev today. Since we're literally at home, not able to work, we figured we'd do LPs again. We did our last LPs on Friday, and now we're doing it again on Sunday, which I don't think we've ever done before. I think we've maybe once done it twice in a week, but it was like a Wednesday and then a Sunday, maybe? I might be wrong, but I mean, we have literally nothing better to do, so let's finish Remake. Here's the most important news for you out there. Mountain Dew Baja Blast has a zero sugar version, and we have it in our grasp right now. They come in the 20-ounce bottles, and it's, in my opinion, pretty good. I really like Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. I think it's just amazing. And I'm warming, like, I like Baja Blast. I feel like I like the normal Zero Sugar better, but I'm warming up to it more and more. It just has that very unique taste.
Yeah, I didn't try it yet. Unfortunately, I brought a drink with me that I want to drink. Because it is pure, even more so than Mountain Dew, it's pure caffeine. Because I'm tired.
Mountain Dew's like the only thing that like, or like I guess just sodas in general that I allow for caffeine, because I don't do no coffee anymore. That feel. I don't do energy drinks anymore. That feel. There's lots of feels going on, lads. So we're going to make the most of it and beat Remake and then do a really interesting PS2 game, which you will probably see on the channel at right around the same time.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to see it because I haven't played the game in probably 10 or more years.
Yeah.
And it's very cool and very much a please don't be poisoned.
Can you tell, like, when you get poisoned, do you look different?
You limp, yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's the one of the complaints I would have about this game is one time you were in danger and you were, like, barely limping. And I was like, oh god, you're in danger.
Yeah, caution is still, like, the same pose, at least while you're holding your weapon. So that's rough.
So, it's like one of those you can't please everyone kind of things, because, like, I feel that in the original Resident Evil games, especially, like, Resident Evil 2 and 3... Well, Resident Evil 1 is the same thing. The original one, you don't change... Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if there's...
No, the original Resident Evil, even in danger, you don't change at all.
Yeah, makes sense.
But in my opinion, 2 and 3, when you're in danger, it makes the game, like, unwinnable.
Yeah, unfortunately, they should have some sort of, like, you limping along, but, like, your movement speed's, like, half. Like, it's a death sentence, basically.
Caution's, like, I don't know, 40%, 50%, and danger is, like, literally hobbling along. So even if you finish a room and you have no healing supplies on you, and you're in danger, you're, like, essentially dead. Because, like, you can barely move. So that means the next room you go into, you absolutely have to kill all enemies. And, yeah, it's really, I don't know. 2 and 3, I guess that would be one of the things I would, like, say as a small downfall of 2 or 3 is they made it too much. I understand caution. I think that's done pretty perfectly where you run a little slower.
Yeah, you hold your side, and I think it's the same speed. Like,
I think it's the same... No, it's a little slower. I know that because of literally speedrunning Resident Evil 3. Like, people, you don't want to be in caution.
Yeah, I really feel like danger and caution, they shouldn't have decreased your speed, but whatever.
Yeah. There could be, like, indications, like holding your arm, like, or your midriff like you do in caution. There could have been easily another one for danger, but...
So that entire battery and crank thing was just to get into this portion?
Yep. Yeah, for those of you who haven't played the original, you always use the crank to be able to get across, but when you do that and you move the water, it makes a waterfall here. So you using the crank and then using the battery allows you to take that little tiny elevator up, and that is literally the thing that allows you to, like, continue on in the game. Although, in the original Resident Evil, say if you could do a skip to get the battery... Oh, no, I guess you still need the Wolf and the Eagle medal. That's right. This game's just really well designed, because I think of, like, sequence breaks, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, you can't really do much, because... so, a lot of people agree with this sentiment, but, the original Resident Evil, like, when you're in the mansion, it is so masterfully designed. But when you get to the end game, like in these areas, like the underground and the resident place, it's very linear, and there's not a whole lot of problem solving, there's not a whole lot of backtracking. So I think these areas are definitely, like, way worse in the mansion.
It's almost like two different games. Do you include the guardhouse with the ladder?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, the mansion is just ridiculous. Like, it's just, like, so unbelievable. And the guardhouse, and I guess you would call us the caves, and the lab are, like, good. But
yeah,
there's such
the lab
smaller
is probably
areas.
the second best place because it's like a mini mansion with a lot of like going to rooms to solve puzzles, a lot of problem solving. Unfortunately for these areas, like the resident area and the cave area, it's basically just finding an item to open a door that's usually in like the room or a room before to open it. So there's barely any problem solving.
Enrico, wait.
Who dat?
Enrico!
Rebecca, no! She did it!
Enrico!
We haven't seen Jill or Barry the entire time. Where are they?
And after Resident Evil 2, like, people obviously really like the police station and everything in Resident Evil 2, which is almost like a mini mansion. It's, like, not quite as big, in my opinion, or as, like, wonderfully done as the mansion. But then after that, they pretty much went to the point with Resident Evil games where you really don't stay. It's all about going from place to place, which is why Resident Evil 1 is definitely the most unique of all of them.
That scared the crap out of me.
Rip.
Yeah, so...
Now hunters are everywhere.
It's very similar to a lot of Resident Evils. Like, Resident Evil 7 is the newest, like, original Resident Evil.
That's true. You do stay pretty much in the same.
You stay in the same area for
You got the crank right. I wasn't paying attention.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
You stay in the mansion area or the big beginning area for a long while, but then you like go to like the tanker and the undergrounds, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, and then all of a
It's
sudden
like the same thing.
it becomes much more linear, and like they're like, oh, here's extra places.
Although I will say, the tanker right as you're starting and you have no idea what's going on, and especially when you're playing as a girl, it's a pretty cool part.
I hope that in the future they're able to, like, I don't know, if they go back to like these style of games, not necessarily the fixed camera, which I don't think will ever happen again, but you know, these style of games, that they would do one where you're like essentially in just one big area. I understand the limitations of that and how absolutely like it's so much easier to design a game where you do a little bit in one place, then you go to the next place and you do a little bit, right? Like, that's standard game design nowadays. Like, you know, the God of War style or Last of Us or whatever. So to do something where it has to be, like, so ridiculously done correctly. I always have such trouble with that in the original one. I don't know why.
It's because, like, tank controls, the left and right are reversed when you're facing towards the camera, so it's really confusing. But even with this new style where you can go anywhere, because the camera angle changes, like, I'm still holding down right now, so it still does the same thing. So you have to kind of, like, decide when to change your angle, otherwise it's really awkward and you kind of jerk all over the place.
But yeah, designing something where you have everything in, like, one area, or mostly in one area, is, like, very difficult, because you really, really, really have to make sure you're not sequence breaking, and that's very, like, obviously difficult. But in the long run, it makes for, like, an absolutely killer game. So you actually kill him?
It's just easier.
Rip!
I'll grab this. That there.
Remember that time you get lunged at by, like, a 10-foot tall spider? There's two of them?
Yeah, you only have to kill one.
What was I saying? So, like, game design, it's so much easier to be like, alright, do this area, at the end of area you get key A, which opens up place B, right? And then in place B you get key B that opens up place C, you know? But, like, to do something where it's like, actually you're in the same area almost the entire time, and you can't sequence break, you know what I mean? You can't be like, oh, I got to the point where, oh, do you have to put the thing back?
Yeah.
That's right.
I kind of forget if is there an item over here? I think it's shotgun shells, maybe?
Yeah, buddy. So yeah, wow, and it's down to 24% already.
Yeah, so you really can only use it for a few enemies. They give it to you for the spider, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't progress. It locks this door and then another door that's past where the spider was.
I'm curious to see what the Resident Evil 3 remake, like, how they do it. I hope they kind of do it where, like, literally, like, a large percentage of the game is in the city itself, and they're not all about, like, jumping back and forth. I have heard that people are, like, very, one of the guys I watch on YouTube says, like, you know, played the demo and was like, I literally have not been this scared in a game in a long time. And I was like, okay.
Courtyard. Apparently that's what it's called. I don't know why.
Wrong. Caves. So I'm hoping... I also heard rumors that Nemesis can follow you anywhere now, including save rooms.
That's going to be terrifying.
Which is like, my god.
Like Mr. X and RE2 make...
Can he travel into save rooms? I forget.
I don't... Yeah, he's in the main hallway where the typewriter is.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I feel like if Capcom wanted to do that, they should hire, like, someone who has an affinity for making, like, adventure games. If that makes sense, and be like, yo, we want it all in one area, but we need, like, the dude who created Myst, or something like that. Ooh, they throw you a curveball with the second one.
Yeah, it's spooky. I mean, it's always scary because it's a literal instant death.
Yeah. Anything, no matter how many times I've done something, like played a game, an instant death is always scary. First aid. Boom, bada, boom.
Yuck.
Have you used a first aid spray yet?
No. As far as I'm aware, like, they count your healing items that you use, but I don't know if they have, like, a counter for first aid sprays specifically. I don't think they do.
I think in the older ones, if you use a first aid, you automatically can't get the S or the A or whatever the highest ranking is.
There might be something counter. I really don't know.
But yeah, I think that'd be a really cool one. Even if someone was making, like, not an indie game, like a literal one-person indie game, but, like, you know, a smaller game to, like, get someone who's, like, designed adventure games before. That'd be pretty dope. But then make it like a horror game. I would be okay with that. Get the people who made that Dracula game we played on the PS1.
I wonder if they even still exist. Hello!
The company probably no. The lead designer probably yes. I mean, it was 20 years ago.
Bark!
Yep. Bark every day.
You know about
Push. Push. Oh, that's right. You gotta do it, like, multiple times.
Yeah, I think it's just what it is.
You know, I don't like my Chris when he has to, like, use all his might to push this, like, stone statue. I want my Chris where he would just punch it and it would explode and it would give him the Doom medal.
Yeah, he should also punch a statue that's 10 times bigger and it explodes in one hit.
That's my Chris. And this is coming from someone who actually... I don't love Resident Evil 5 as much as Parker. Like, Parker, like, adores it. But I liked it. Like, nice. I played with him. I played it with him, like, multiple times. And I played it before. So I played the game probably 3 times. And I think it's, like, pretty good for what it is. But, like, why you gotta make Chris like that? Also, Chris in Resident Evil 6 is, like, the greatest character of all time. Because he's literally the stereotypical, like... War.
I only played...
War has changed.
Yeah, I never even played Chris's campaign. I played Leon's, and then I tried Jake's and never finished Jake's, and then I was like, this game is garbage.
All you have to know is...
played Mercenaries.
During this huge outbreak thing, whatever that's going on in Resident Evil 6, which is all worldwide and stuff, he's, like, in some small Russian town's, like, tavern, like...
Isn't he depressed or something?
Depressed and drinking and stuff, and, like, someone from the, I don't know, BSAA or STARS or whatever comes in and is like... We need you for this mission. And he's like, I'd rather watch the world burn. Or whatever, you know, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like Chris.
You're like, oh my god. It's like, I'm not doing it justice for how cliche and everything it is. It's, like, so bad. And, like, the only reason he comes back is, like, it's, like, I don't know, it's real, like, dumb. Like, it's just like, I just want to let you know, I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for no one in... I don't know. It's like his reason for doing it is, like, so freaking stupid. I'm trying to remember what to use that damn cylinder for.
Yeah, we use it in a sec.
Is that what you came down here the whole way for, is just this cylinder?
It's somewhere in this area. So.
Oh. And then you get that stone, that outer stone thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say Capcom's been cool in even over the last 20 years, because I mean it's crazy to think, but Remake was made like what, like 2002, 2003, so been a while. But like when they do remakes, they're not just like shot by shot graphical upgrade. They're like, no, we're changing this game, which is really dope for this.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that I mean the original game came out in '96 and this came out in 2002, so it was pretty recent.
Well, I was thinking about that.
So as far as I'm aware, you don't actually have to do the spinning. It just tells you that it's 4, 2, 3, 1. Let's hope I'm right.
I was actually thinking about that the other day after we got done playing this. I was like, okay, you know, like at this point, games have evolved so much that if you look at something, let's take 6 years, right? 96 to 2002, so that's 6 years. So 6 years ago was 2014, and if you look at a game made from 2014 to one made in 2020, there will be differences, of course. 2020 is going to look cleaner, but it's not like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a world of difference. And back then, when games were newer, like 6 years was like a revolution. You know, nowadays it's like, well, you know, the gameplay's smoother, the graphics are definitely better, it's a longer game, more cinematic, but like, okay, 1990, like, Mario Brothers 3 came out, okay? 96, it was like Mario 64. Like, both games are awesome, you know, in their own right, obviously, but it's like revolutionarily different, you know?
This area is spooky.
And I think Lisa's here, right?
Yep. Sure.
That was my preface for saying, like, the original Resident Evil came out in 96, and literally 6 years later, this came out, right? Like, how... They were both similar games, you know, similar setups, but, like, how much technology changed in that 6 years is, like, mind... And you know what? Resident Evil Remake was one of the best games of its time that came out, of course. But Resident Evil 1 wasn't like, oh, well, I like this game even though it looks crappy as hell. You know what I mean? Like, it was still, like, people thought it looked good and everything, you know? For the time, obviously.
Yeah, and I think this game is relatively timeless. If they upscaled the pre-rendered backgrounds, and if it wasn't such a cheap remaster, I think this game could look just downright beautiful, but it still looks pretty good. But the reason why it looks so good from the PS1 to the GameCube is that the GameCube was technically the most powerful, like Xbox technically, but in GameCube other ways. But they use pre-rendered just like the original game, but obviously with all that extra horsepower, you can like make the models look so good. You can add lighting and effects and like air effects on the screen, so like it was just a recipe for like the greatest looking game ever.
Two discs of the mini GameCube discs, which I forget how much they held. But yeah, like, oh damn.
Scared the crap out of me.
Like, I think about that sometimes. I'm just like, you know, different times. Like, okay, look at 1979, which would be like Space Invaders, whatever, compared to 1985, which was Mario Brothers 1. It's like, yeah, for sure there's a difference, and like especially in gameplay there's a difference, but it's not to the point where I would be like, oh my god, I couldn't possibly see this happening in 6 years. You know what I mean? But like, if you told me back then, I'm playing Resident Evil 1 in 96, and you'd be like, oh yeah, hey, in 6 years it's gonna look like this. I'd be like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, no way.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Literally one hit, caution.
I got hit by that big spider.
Oh,
Wait,
that's
no.
right.
Did I use a green herb since then?
I want to say not, because I think you only had the first aid.
Lisa does do a lot of damage. I'm probably not fully healed, but that's fine.
Speaking of changes and stuff like that, I don't really have too much of a dog in the show, or the race, I guess, however you put it. I don't really care who wins, like, certain, console generations. Like, I'm more of a Sony guy, don't get me wrong, than an Xbox guy. But I'll tell you that the original Xbox is a really underrated system. And if you had me to choose 360 or PS3, like, all things considered, I would take 360.
Yeah, I really actually don't like Sony as a company. I think they're pretty scummy. Microsoft is also pretty scummy. But it so happened that, like, for the most part, like, the PS1 and the PS2... PS1 obviously revolutionized CDs as a more mainstream avenue for gaming. So a lot of developers went over there because it was so much cheaper and better than cartridges. And then the PS2 was sort of like... It had a monopoly because Sony specifically made the PS2 hard to develop for. So, like, if you made a PS2 game, it was, like, annoying to port it to different systems.
Well, and it was also the first one to come out of the three.
The first of the DVD.
And the first of the DVD ones, yeah.
So, and then just... People forget how important a strong launch is for, like, a console. And the PS1 and the PS2 had such strong launches, it just cemented them as, like, juggernauts.
And the PS3 had such a weak one that rip. PS3's launch was so weak that
wasn't it a year late too?
No, I want to say it was around the same time. Let me actually look it up. So even if the PS3 came out later than the 360, PS3 release date.
Look at this place.
It's so dope. How atmospheric. Is there anything actually here? November 11th, 2006. You might be right.
I thought the 360 came out in,
You might be right. Hold on. Wow, yeah, it was a whole year. Oh my god.
So not only was it a whole year late, it was $100 more than the 360, and it had no launch titles.
It might have been more than $100 more, because PS3 was $599. And I don't remember 360 being 500.
I thought the 360 was 500.
I thought it was like 400. But my major point is PS3 lost to a system that became synonymous with being broken. Right? Like the red ring and everything. Like, literally. There's something written on the back. November 10th, 1967. Progenitor virus administered. Jessica. Administered virus. Type A. Plasmalizing of tissue during cell activation. Sorry, biologists. Virus fusion negative. Action disposed. So Jessica that desied. Lisa, administered virus. Type B. Plas of tissue during cell activation. Virus fusion positive but delayed fusion. Body modification. Observed constant results. Status. Continued protective observation. George, action terminated. There's a journal left by someone. November 14th, 1967. I'll feel dizzy after that shot they gave me. I don't see Mum. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, it's a girl.
I feel dizzy after that shot they gave me. I don't see Mom. Where did they take her? She promised that we would escape together. Did she escape alone and leave me behind? November 15th, I found Mom. We ate together. I was very happy. But she was a fake, not my real mom. Same face but different inside. I have to find Mum. Have to give face back to murder. I got Mum's face back. Nobody can have me Mum except me. I attach her face to me so she don't go away. Because Mum said when I make her without my face. November 17th, from inside box set of mummy. Maybe true mother there. Stone box hard, it hurts. Steel rope in the way. Can't see Mum because 4 stones.
Rip. Sorry, Lisa. Hey, at least she gets to, like, sleep in, like, this dope place. Anyway, so PS3 lost to a system that had more than a 50% failure rate. Like, plenty of people back then bought a new 360, right? And had to literally get, like, 3 of them. And it lost to a system that did that. Like, that's like if Sony would have lost... So... For the PS4, Sony won. I think almost everyone can agree, during E3 2013, I think it was, when Microsoft came out.
Easily. I mean, Microsoft it was the worst console reveal of all time.
And they were like, and people were like, what about the used games?
Like, the PS3 one was embarrassing and horrible, but like, the Xbox One, what were they thinking? Like, seriously.
So, yeah, if you guys remember, Xbox One was like, well, there's no used games, and also, like, you can, like, share in very specific ways, and everyone was, like, so mad. And, Do you have all the modis you need? It looks like you have the one.
You get the other two in the
cool.
The lab.
Anyway, so what I was saying was, and all that Sony had to do, and they did it. And this is gonna sound crazy. I'm honestly surprised they did. Is all they had to do is come out and say they could have literally walked out and said you can have used games, and they could have left. They literally could have left. They could have said you can have used games and walked off the stage, and people would have given them a standing ovation, and they would have won, right? And that's all they had to do. And I'm honestly surprised. No one will ever be able to corroborate this story unless they were an executive at VP or at Sony like 10 years later or 20 years from now. But I swear to God that because Microsoft went first and they saw the backlash, that Sony literally had the same plan. I swear to God.
I bet you're right. Yeah.
And literally, like, all of a sudden they were like, we gotta change this real quick.
And that's
you know
why
what I mean?
that's why they said the used game thing in like some like non-scripted YouTube video, which obviously wasn't professionally produced. Like, they just made it. And dude, all Sony needed to do to win this generation was say the PS5 can play all PS1 through 4 discs. And that's all they needed to do.
And they didn't do it.
And they didn't do it.
They said it's PS4, but only some,
Yeah,
right? That's how they said it. Yeah.
So disappointing. I was gonna get a PS5 the first day it came out, and now I'm gonna wait literal years.
I heard that the reason PS3s didn't have PS2 backwards compatibility is because it was rather expensive to do, so I get it. I just wish
the PS2 and the PS3 like used Sony's weird architecture that was impossible to replicate, which is why PS3 emulation is so horrible. It used the power of Decel. But there's a PS3 emulator on PC now, and Sony is a billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do it, they would do it, but they don't want to.
I just wish that they would be honest with the consumers and just be like, listen.
Obviously, there's money to be made with PS Now and other stuff. They're not going to do it. And like,
they could come out. They could come out with. Oh, that's right. You need two of them. I wish that they would even come out with two versions. Like, and be like, hey, there's the one that plays just PS5 and the one that plays all the others, and like it could be $200 more, and I'm pretty sure people would buy the one that plays all of them. You know what I mean? Like, people still love the idea of the PS3s that play all three of them, even though it's a broken, crappy system that barely works, and they'll still go out of their way and pay like triple the price just because it's like it's a cool
I even
idea.
have one next to my TV. But I don't touch that thing ever. I keep the power unplugged, and I only turn it on when I want to play PS2 games, and that's it. Like, why would you use it for anything else?
I guess my major point was Microsoft came out. I haven't been paying attention, obviously, because of all the craziness, but Microsoft said that the new Xbox is coming out on Thanksgiving, right? They gave a release date, right?
I think so, yeah.
And Sony did not as of yet, right?
No. Yeah, Sony had a... I won't say embarrassing, but very boring, like, tech reveal of the PS4 or the PS5, but they just talked about, like, the processor and the GPU and, like, audio stuff, and that's it. It was just, like, a PowerPoint presentation, and it's like, you're really gonna show it off? You didn't even show the design or anything else. You're just gonna do this?
Yeah.
There's no hype anymore.
Ugh. But I have a feeling that, like, I don't know why I feel this, but I'm usually at least somewhat close to home on these feels that, like, Microsoft's probably will maybe come out on time unless this whole craziness out there gets, like, worse, and I have a feeling Sony's will not be this year because, like, a lot of, like, Asian countries are getting hit harder, and this is based on absolutely nothing besides, like, just how things are in the world right now, but I have a feeling that if Microsoft comes out first, and if they're still cool with... Dude, like, the difference between what Microsoft was in 2013 and now is ridiculous, insofar that that Xbox Live Game Pass is, like, ridiculous. Like, it's such a good deal.
Chris, take a piece of the action.
Hi. And all you have to do is... You can't... She's immortal, right?
So, you remember that journal you just read about the 4 stones? That was a hint about this.
That's right.
Also, have you noticed that this entire part, I haven't shot my shotgun one time?
Yes.
Hey, buddy. Hey.
I'm surprised that didn't hit you, and I'm also surprised you didn't have to use against the hunters at all.
Yeah, since the hunters it's such a one-off area, it's just easier just to avoid them. Like, why waste 3 shotgun shells per hunter when you can just run past them?
So this is the mother's body, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. She said she wanted to see her mother's body, but it was blocked by those 4. Oh, she was holding the skull.
Yeah, she was holding the skull.
I didn't notice that before.
Is Wesker gone? Or is he still there?
As far as I'm aware, the first time I did this, I think Wesker got hit and then he, like, fled. But yeah, when he's actually still here, you can still talk
I'll
to him.
investigate this area.
From what I understand, Barry, when your Jill can die here, obviously, like, Wesker cannot.
Yeah, so they put a lot more plot for Barry and Jill's scenario, where they, like, explain...
It's a letter.
To my Lisa, day by day I can feel my consciousness drifting further away. The shots given to me by men in white clothes made some of Mummy's itching go away. Today they gave me another shot saying it was nutrition. When they gave me the shots, Mommy can think straight, but Mommy's shocked and sad because Mommy's unable to think of you all the time. Mummy's afraid. Afraid of forgetting everything, especially the memories of you and Daddy. What your faces look like, how we used to be together. They're all starting to disappear into somewhere dark in me mind. Oh, Lisa, I wish I could touch your face and hold you in me arms right now, so I think I can hold on your wonderful memories of you and Daddy. Lisa, we can't stay here any longer. We have to escape. Listen to me, Lisa. Our chances to escape in this next time when we go to the lab together. We'll both pretend that we're both unconscious, and when that man in white clothes is off guard, that will be our chance. When we're outside, let's look for Daddy together, okay, sweetie? Be strong.
Dang, and Lisa turns into a monster just a few days later.
Rip.
That's sad.
I forget what I was saying, but on the, what was it, PS... Was I still on the PS5? I forget.
I was talking about how Barry has, like, more cutscenes.
Oh, yeah,
and, like,
for sure.
Wesker, like, goes on about how they're blackmailing him with his daughter or mother or something.
That does happen in the first one,
Or
but...
wife.
Yeah. Cool thing about this is if you forget the items or obviously don't even know that they exist there, you only have to go like a couple like steps back. So, one of the coolest reveals, and it's like one of those things where like it's not specifically said to you, is in Resident Evil 1 when you're in the lab and you have to view this slideshow to get a password for a computer, and then they show you the team of researchers and one's Wesker.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... I'm not saying it's, like, spoon-fed to you, but it's also not one of those things you have to dive deep for it.
Cool.
But
And
it's
also
really
we'll see
cool.
it.
Oh, we will see it?
Yeah.
Neat. But yeah, I'm worried that, like, a lot of that stuff is going to be delayed. And if Microsoft comes out and it's... Oh, yeah, the Game Pass. Dude, Game Pass is such a ridiculously good deal. Like, it's almost to the point where, like, when Xbox games come out, like, I order very few because, like, they'll just be like, oh, Gears 5, a $60 game that's made by Microsoft, it's just on Game Pass. Like, the full game is just on Game Pass right now. Well, I don't know what it is, 10, 20 bucks a month, whatever. And it's just like, it's just ridiculous to me. And it's like it's what Sony wants to do with PS Now, but it's like so half-butted. Like it's just so like they want to do something like that, but they're too greedy. You know what I mean? With PS Now, it's just like I don't know. It's just really weird. Gib 31.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, that's when I order new games, like, I order, like, 3 times as many PS4 than Xbox One. Not only because PlayStation's more popular, but, like, Xbox just has, like, all these freaking new games going on Game Pass. Nice. Cool. Guaranteed. Do they have time to become... I guess they would.
I'm an idiot.
And that one count. Oh my god.
It was still pretty close.
Yeah, but the other one was like dead on. And it is what it is. Is the Tyrant as easy as he is in the first game?
Yeah, especially since I picked up all the Magnum rounds and have the Magnum. And
do you know that the Tyrant's so easy in the first game when you fight him the first time in the lab that you can knife him in like 10 knife shots? We gonna be seeing some of our friends. But yeah, you can literally, like, knife him in, like, 10 or 12 knife shots. And I remember I would always bring, like, a ridiculous amount of ammo, and then be like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think they really expect you to use,
like a bunch of Magnum stuff or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
But, like, for this game, it's like, okay, you fight Yawn twice. The first time you don't have to touch him one time. You fight that giant spider, and they give you a flamethrower for it. And then Plant 42, I don't know if they, like, messed it up, but it's, like, way too easy.
There's now evidence that when the host loses consciousness, the body goes into a dormant state. During this time, the virus becomes active and rapidly transforms and reconstructs the basic composition of the body. The host eventually mutated into a humanoid creature. We call them VX. Its speed and amazing muscular development are particularly noteworthy. After transformation, it becomes more agile and aggressive. Already 4 of our researchers have died from trying to feed it, turning the place into an instant bloodbath. Ever since this tragic and barbaric accident, we have decided to call its kind Crimson Heads.
Ooh.
That dangerous and precious prototype specimen can't be left there. We have to figure out a way to deal with it. Termination is definitely not an option.
So the one.
That's the one.
It is the prototype.
We finally decided to freeze the specimen and confine the body inside the basement of the... Okay, yeah. So at least that gives some... Like, it's not like a specific name, but at least that gives something. Do John and Ada.
Yep.
Cool keyboard, by the way. Like, not set up like a normal keyboard.
Yeah, imagine using a keyboard that is alphabetical. That'd be a nightmare.
Oh, it's still the same thing?
Oops.
This is where you have to,
Where's the J?
This is where you have to plug in the keyboard for the PS1, which there is one. I think. No, there's definitely a mouse. I forget if there's a keyboard. There's definitely a mouse, though. I gotta redo Clock Tower with the mouse.
So this one, there's a puzzle that'll show off how you get this answer. It's cell. And it's actually a pretty cool puzzle. It's pretty easy, though. I'm just gonna do it now so I don't have to waste time.
If only it was literally RNG. Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be epic. They did that with the,
Resident Evil 3?
yeah, with Resident Evil 3, and also this game with the combination for, the Planet 42,
That's right.
chemistry room. I thought there were shotgun shells.
RIP.
Not that I need...
Are those
I could probably use the Magnum the rest of the game.
Are those chimeras in here?
They are going to be here soon.
Oh, I hate those things in the first game.